I'd like to call the District of Chetwynd Council meeting to order. Prior to us getting the meeting to order, I got a request, and I will let Councillor Hun of Members Loss.
Thanks. I just wanted to request that we take a moment of silence for a recent loss in the community for Brody Watson.
And just to touch on that, his mother and his family have been part of our community for several years, and she is the ED of the Tansy Friendship Center. So very, very close to all of us, I assume. I guess I shouldn't assume, but I believe she was close to most members, most councillors, and community. Thank you. Thanks, Bonnie. Thanks, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Councillor Hunt, excuse me. Okay, prior to the agenda, can I have the opening statement read, please?
As we gather today on the traditional territory of the Treaty 8 Nations to conduct the business of the District of Chetwynd, we do so knowing that we are privileged to serve the citizens of this community, and we shall endeavor to conduct our business in their best interests.
Thank you. Adoption of the agenda. Prior to that, is there any new business? Councillors? Councillor Ward?
I'd like to add the topic of food cycler, please.
The food recycler? Okay. And Councillor Deck?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Anybody else? Okay. Okay, we'll add that to new business. We'll add that to new business. Adoption of the agenda.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
All those in favor? Carried. Minutes. Minutes of the regular council meeting held on April 15th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Any omissions or errors? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Carried. Minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting held on April 29th, 2024.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any errors or omissions?
I have a question.
Councillor?
I have a question, Your Worship. Although whoever takes minutes at the table really never misses anything, and I'll definitely give them those props. I don't see really much about the conversation. I'm just curious as to why.
Go ahead, staff.
Generally, these types of minutes don't get into the conversational details. They just give an overview of what was actually discussed. It was a general discussion. There's a lot of back and forth. So in order to, I guess, retain the brevity of the document, then that's just kind of a best practice and a standard practice for how the minutes are kept. If council ever wishes to see more detail, then staff is more than willing to provide it. It's just kind of, I guess, the way it's always been is the simplest version.
Thank you.
in this instance, is there clarity that we need, or is this sufficient for past practice that we've continued? It was a committee of a whole meeting, so there's a lot of discussion, there's a lot of back and forth, so is there any other, do we need to be able to do this, Counselor?
The only
Staff?
thing I would add is the document that I sent around for everybody to look at is actually all the notes from the conversation are included in that. So every point that council brought up is in the letter that's going back to the Human Rights Commission, and it's 5 pages long.
Very good. And it was an exceptionally well-written letter in
Okay.
draft form that we all received, and soon enough will become public information, yes?
Yes, it'll be sent out tomorrow.
I think that really covers it. Transparency, thank you.
And what we, with committee of a whole, it was public. Any public could attend that meeting, so we put out our media, so out to the media, so it was open for public. So once the letter is approved by all of us and sent, it will be public too. So, thank you. Any other discussion on the committee as a whole on the 29th? All those in favor to accept? Carried. Okay, we're on delegations. Mark Bergen, Pine Valley Exhibition Park Society, request for support. Mark. Yep, right there, Mark. Yep. Yep, right at the podium where the bear is. Yeah.
Works. That work? Okay, is that working? For those of you who don't know me, my name's Mark Bergen. I'm a local veterinarian. My wife, I'm a Chetwynd Hospital. We're long-time residents of Chetwynd. We moved here in 2004, so we moved 20 years in June. I've been involved with the Pine Valley Exhibition ever since we moved here, and I ride horses myself. My kids ride a little bit too, and the reason I'm coming forward today is because the Pine Valley Exhibition Park would like to revitalize and renovate and redo the outdoor grounds. So most of you are probably aware of the Pine Valley Exhibition Park, but it's an outstanding amenity for the town of Chetwynd. We're the end of a lot of small towns that have a facility to ride horses, and we have an indoor facility and the outdoor would go down as well. I know people and families that moved to Chetwynd because we have riding and the equestrian facility. And it's a great place to ride and facilitate equestrian activity. You'll be surprised how much activity happens down there. Even though it's kind of tucked out of the way, a lot see it, but there's a lot of stuff that happens there. And I might add at a fraction of the cost of other things that Chetwynd supports. I mean, it's a great local advantage, but it's supported by user fees basically. So the district of Chetwynd, even though the district of Chetwynd owns the land and facilities, it's run by a nonprofit organization that it is basically self-funded. We rented the arena out and all. People can live in town and still have the horse. They don't have to have the property. They can live in town, have a horse, and just rent a pen and their horse there. So it's a great overland. The outdoor walking grounds are really old and outdated. I mean, they're over 40 years old. The structures are pretty rusted and dilapidated. I'm not sure how many of you have went down there, but the outdoor facilities are kind of in a sad state of affairs. The PDP would like to completely revitalize it and redo it, get new roping and bucking chutes so we can have high school rodeos there again and barrel racings and team ropings, and there's a lot of activities that are going to happen there. Over the last number of years, I think the indoor arena is always busy all winter. It's a great facility. We love it. Often in the summertime, things slow down. People don't want to ride inside in the summer. And plus, because the indoor arena is a smaller facility, too, it's only 90 feet wide, kind of limits some things that can be done as well. So by revitalizing and upgrading the outdoor facilities, it'll allow Chetwynd to host large regional and provincial events, and also foster a lot more activity in the summer months. A lot of the local clubs would like to, if we revitalize the outdoor now, so they would resume activities in the summer months as well. And just be a great thing for the district of Chetwynd. So the community applied for a grant from the Development Initiatives Trust, the NDIT. And the NDIT reviewed the application, they liked it, they approved it, and they approved $160,000 and $600, sorry, towards the total cost. But we have to raise some additional funds to make sure that they'll get forward, otherwise we get lose funding. So basically, that's why I'm coming today, just to ask for the district of Chetwynd support to contribute some money towards the project. I'd also like a letter of support and partnership from the district of Chetwynd, because we're applying for some other grants elsewhere as well. I contacted Dan Rose, and he forwarded me to the GM grant writers for the PRRB. So I've been in contact with them, and we are working together with the grant writers for the PRRB to come up with some additional grant money. There's nothing that are really promising right now, but we are working with them. I'm working with the grant writers as we speak, and back and forth. They would really like a letter of support from the district of Chetwynd saying that the district supports this initiative. And so in addition to financial contributions, I would really like it, or we appreciate a letter of support from the district of Chetwynd saying that they're a free partner in this, and they support this initiative. I am also putting in a grant application to the Southeast Mackenzie Trust. I haven't been back from them, I'm just in the process of getting that all well. But because I feel that because the district of Chetwynd owns this facility, and because it's pretty dilapidated, if you go down there and see the outlook, the indoor ground is fine, but if you go down to the outdoor ground, you'll see that it's pretty run down. It really needs to have a nice one, to be honest. Really needs upgrading, and I think it would be a great thing for the district of Chetwynd. I put together some handouts. I'm really sorry, but I only have 8, so I don't know why I came up with the number 8. I'm sorry, but so not all of you have my handout. I included our letter of support from the Soto First Nations and budget our financial slots out the years, and the letter of support from the NDIT showing that for $1,000 to ride things. And again, I'm really sorry that we have or 8 calls. Does anybody have any questions for me on this?
Yeah, thanks, Mark, for the presentation. One right off the bat is how many members do you have that by? Is it in your report here?
How many members? I'm sorry, off the top of my head, I don't know. That's something I should know.
100?
Says
Well, there's I want to say there's 80 pens. Sorry, I want to say there's 60 or 80 pens, plus there's indoor stalls. And then it's whole families. So even though maybe one horse is boarded there in one stall, the whole family would use that horse. So it's quite a bit. It's also like there's, like he was saying, there is a lot of programs that go through there. We do the equine assisted learning. We do that, like,
yeah. Just the question was numbers, because when we deal with numbers, that's I always tell people numbers don't lie. So that's why when we have numbers, and then we take your presentation, right, and then we put the numbers to it and we look at it. It's not a matter of what you present we accept, but when we ask questions, we just like to know numbers so that we could add, take that and put that as a
That's fair enough. I feel a little sheepish that I don't have the answers for you.
Yep.
I can get that.
Yep.
for you.
that would be one of the things that we would be asking for is numbers, yeah.
Yeah, I can get numbers for you. I'm sorry.
And I'm glad you put in the financial stuff in here. It's important for us to go over, right?
Our accounting financials is in there. It allows.
Okay, go ahead. Councillor Nelson?
Thanks for your presentation, Mark. I'm just curious because I haven't seen it. You say that it's really dilapidated, the outdoor arena. Is it still usable?
So it's usually if somebody wants to go ride and just for a barrel race, it's kind of sort of useful for that. The ground's not great anymore. The roping and bucket chutes aren't usable. In fact, they're ripped out. They got rusted. They were no longer operational. We sold the bucket chutes for steel, and somebody came in and get the roping chutes just because they were just not operational anymore. So we can't. The only events, I mean, people can ride there a little bit, but it's not. We're pretty limited on in terms of the facility, what can be done there, because we can't have any livestock because the fences are pretty rusted and not, if they were pulled out.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know, and congratulations on getting over 160 from NDIT. That's a hefty amount. Sounds like a pretty exciting project.
Thanks, yeah, we're voting. We just want to make sure we don't lose that funding and make sure that.
When you're a member, does that fee or whatever they pay rental, that covers the indoor riding, outdoor riding and pen? Like, how does it work? Do you
Yeah,
rent
so
it?
you pay a membership and then you have to have insurance, but if you rent a pen, that automatically comes with a riding pass. You can use the arena during open riding times. And then special interest groups will rent the arena as well and it's $40 now. I think it's $40 now if I remember correctly. To rent out the riding for the general public or special interest groups.
Thank you.
Thanks for your presentation, Mark. Sorry, I just need clarification. $40 an hour?
Yeah.
Okay. For a sec, I thought you meant for the day, and
No,
I thought okay. That's very fair. Thanks.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Councillor McDonald.
Thank you for your presentation too, Ms. Bergen. In the NDIT letter, it says that you guys have to commence within 12 months of receiving the funding. When do you intend to do the project?
yeah, so we'd like to do the and if you read that was actually 2022. So that letter is 2 years old. So I'll just explain a little more. So I haven't been on the board of the PDP for a number of years. I used to be president of the board and I was on the board for quite a few years. My kids both play hockey and busy in the winter, and so I stepped back from the PDP board, and I haven't been on the board for a number of years. I found out just recently somebody had mentioned that the PDP had gotten a grant from the NDIT, and that but nothing hadn't really been followed up on. So I volunteered. I contacted Nikki Rosekeeper, the president. She's got a pretty full plate and she's got a lot going on. So I contacted her and I just said I would be willing to volunteer. Back when I was president, I worked with NDIT quite a bit on a couple of projects. The main one, we got a brand new roof put on the indoor riding, which was $250,000. So I worked quite a bit with the NDIT at that point. And working with, they contributed a chunk, and then I managed to find some extra funds from the PR to get this to Chetwynd. But anyway, I told Nikki that I had some experience with this type of thing, and I would be happy to come on board and volunteer to spearhead the project. But like I said, Kayla, it's 2 years old, and so I contacted the NDIT again just to make sure that we weren't in danger of missing out on the funds. And they said that, that we're still good to go, but they want us to get our ducks in a row by the summer, basically. So, June 30th was the deadline for us to make sure we have our ducks in a row before they're gonna release the funds to go ahead with the project. So, I don't know your answer.
Any other questions? Yep, that's fine. Mark, the longer the question, the more information we get. So the answer is great. So, yes, we will take all the information and thank you for your presentation and send us the numbers on the members. And so we got clarification on that. But all the stuff said, we do appreciate people that bring citizens to our town and events and facilities, because we're all about that, making sure that we get people to our community that want to be here. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council, for
Thanks.
Okay, bylaws. District of Chetwynd Financial Plan 2024 to 2028 bylaw number 1172 requires, 1172 2024 requires adoption.
Motion to adopt?
Okay.
Any discussion on it? All those in favor? Carried. District of Chetwynd 2024 tax rate bylaw number 1173 2024 requires adoption.
Motion to adopt.
Councillor McDonald? Councillor Smith? Any discussion on it? Councillor Nelson?
So I see that the major industry, light industry, is at that 18% mill rate. Because it's being capped and we've had this conversation, part of me just wonders, I guess this is really a question for our CAO, is if we just chose as council to not approve this due to the fact that we're really displeased with that low industrial tax rate, would that provide any leverage moving forward?
No, but I'll let, I see Kevin is having a minor report. So we'll let him speak to it. I will share with council that I've had a really productive talk regarding the tax rate. And they've sent out the letters now to all the various industries. And this is the first actual action the province has taken in a period of decades. And they're saying that if everything goes as they want it to go, they'll be presenting it to the legislature in about January. So right now they're in the midst of getting ready for an election. So the good news is that we're wearing them down and there's starting to be some activity. But I'll let Kevin speak to your question now.
Yeah, after this bylaw is adopted, I had to submit all this information to the province, and Big Brother has the authority and the power to strike down our bylaw and make it invalid, in which case we wouldn't have tax rates to collect on anything. And then we'd be in real trouble.
Thank you. And I did recognize that it was an outlandish idea. I just would really like to see our district raising that tax rate, because I think it needs to happen. And I think that it's going to give the individuals of our community more of a break in life. And affordability is a major concern. So I'm passionate about that one. But probably just vote in favor of adopting it.
Any more discussion on it? All those in favor? Carried. Any opposed? Noted. Okay. Committee reports. Okay, Counselor Beck.
The Chetwynd Senior Citizens Housing Society report, they have a new cook, Jordan Rondo at Little Prairie Haven, or Sorrera's Place, pardon me, and a new manager for Little Prairie Haven and Sorrera's Place, Kira Burnwell.
Oh, nice. Very good. Any other reports? Okay. From the mayor's standpoint, I've been fairly busy and had a hard time with trying to see a doctor. Is there issue with Northern Health? That'd just be funny because I had to call a virtual doctor, and it took me 2 weeks there, just like I would have went to the hospital, and one sent me to Dawson Creek, and the virtual doctor says, if you're really in an emergency, go to here when we were in diversion. So I'd had to go to Dawson Creek anyway, but I got to see a doctor today, and he said they did a CT scan a week ago, so there's no marbles, just rocks. So I'm happy I'm normal. So anyway, the PRRD and us with the fire situation that happened, and I questioned them on our ability to fight the fire in their district, like our region. There's a map where Chetwynd could go out and fight a fire, and this last time it was in that fire zone. So that was the one at Wildmere Creek, was it? Is that what it was called, Wildmere Creek, or just Wildmere? Yeah. So yeah, they were questioned. Did we have? There's a official, what do you call it, to say that, can they ask us to leave that fire if we are in our firefighting zone? That was a question that was posed to me by the PRRD. Is that true, CO? That because I says, well, we were asked to step back or stand down from the fire. It says, well, mutual aid, is that part of that whole scenario?
Well, there's a couple of factors in there. If it's a wildfire, our volunteer fire department is not really trained in that specialized type of firefighting. So for a wildfire, BC wildfire rules it. If it starts impacting structures, then that becomes part of our mutual aid agreement, and our fire department can respond and help fight the fires in the structures or protect the structures from the wildfire threat. So our wildfire fighters, even though they weren't actively fighting in the trees, they still served a really important function for us. I speak more about it in my report, but basically between SAR, between the wildfire, between our fire department, between the RCMP, they knocked on 300 doors in less than 2 hours. So that was really, really good time, and everybody worked really well together.
So the answer when I talked to the PRRD is that we are structural, we aren't wildfire trained at this time. So we're,
I'm sorry, my mic's still on. Yeah, we are a structural firefighting department that our firefighters will fight grass fires. They'll fight, limited engagement into the trees. Like if it spreads from the home to the surrounding area, like they've done already once this year on Campbell Road. But they're primarily structure. So if it's a wider spread wildfire, they'll kick us out, especially with like the water bombers on this one. Everybody leaves because I don't know if you've ever seen the film footage, but they drop the retardant, it'll crush a car. Like there's a lot of weight there. So there's a risk to the firefighters themselves. So everybody backs off. But yeah, BC Wildfire can absolutely kick anybody off of the fire site that they want to.
yeah, that was a question that You said, because I said, no, they took over and our department stood down. Well, you have all the right, but I disagreed that we are, wildfire. So anyway, that's the answer and that's what they'll get. And I believe I was, yeah. So anyway, I attended a conference in Toronto with, I'll just bring it up here and on the 24th or 22nd, 23rd, it was First Nations Major Project Coalition, and Charlene Gale from Fort Nelson First Nation chairs that coalition. And I had the opportunity to speak with Chief Rudy Paquette. He was there with some of his members from Soto and the councillor. So it was very important. Some of the stuff that we do when we get to these events is to support, because according to Chief Paquette, he was more interested in getting networking done with other nations, because his ability and their ability at Soto were great, seemed to be greater than most nations. So he was pretty pleased with his nation to be in that support mode. So which was great to hear. And I believe that's where Chetwynd, being close to Soto and West Moberly, and some of the other nations, when we do attend these events, that we learn through networking that we can assist and be supportive. And that's one of the things that Chief Gale, chair of the coalition, was very pleased to see myself, Rudy, Chief Paquette there, either in support or looking for some educational purpose. And the educational purpose was that we learned from the Maoris in New Zealand. They are going to adopt the government is going to adopt some of the Maoris' culture into their, what would it be, legislation, law, bring it into law. So they're in that process right now. And I found it very pleasing that a non-Indigenous person was speaking fluent Maori as a presentation to us. And then when the delegation from New Zealand, the Maori, he sang when he got to the mic, and we asked the question, what is the significance? And he said, we sing you in and we sing you out. So that was a very pleasing, very touching moment when he was asked that. And so these are the things that we learn when we go to these events. So I was very pleased at that. And I always go back to the Kofi conference. It wasn't our other meeting minutes, but we spoke with Minister Ralston today. So we had a meeting today. So it sounded promising that he says he'd take some information from his staff this time. The last time I talked to him, he didn't say that. He says, this is what we're doing. This is the information I got. And then he put in there, says, I read your comments on some of the news media feeds. I said, oh yeah. I says, that's fine. I says, it's basically the same as today. I says, we're talking that we need to be able to understand what knife act meant and forward attack team means. So those are the two items that we need to understand here in Chetwynd. And I had invited Chief Paquette along with our CAO to sit in, and he had his word, Chief did, to Minister Ralston. So that meant our communities are sitting in the same position safety-wise, or having the same protection. So these are the things that he's going to get back to us in the next little while. So these are big things for us, and the biggest one is with the forest fires, right? So they're always important, especially when they're, 12, 13 kilometers out. I mean, that's very close. So anyway, with that, I believe that's I should have another report. I'm going away for 10 days, I believe, to the west coast, so I'll have another report on the 21st. So is there any other reports? We're good? Administration report? Okay.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm actually leaving Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I'm at Smithers next week as well. But I will have my cell phone if anybody's trying to get a hold of me, and I'll look at the emails as well. On my report on the Wildmere fire, as we know, it's all done. The highway's back open. We had 35 homes were evacuated. Highway 29 was closed for nearly 2 days. 300 homes were notified door to door within approximately 2 hours of the evacuation order or alert status. And then we maintained patrols throughout the night to make sure property stayed safe. And this is always a concern for our residents. We kept residents notified as information became available. And Peace FM with Marla there was really helpful with that. We also use CGDC, social media, PRD, and District of Chetwynd websites. Interviews were given by staff and Acting Mayor Nelson to CBC Daybreak, CBC Today, As It Happens, Canadian Press, CGDC, and CKPG News. The NIFAC base removal concerns were part of each interview, and Acting Mayor Nelson did a really, really good job. BC Wildfire typically does not actively fight fires during the night, and this may result in delays in providing new information to concerned residents. New details are provided as soon as they are available. Each new day starts at first light with inspection from multiple agencies to assess the fire status and to protect the personal safety of the crews and any impacted residents. This can take several hours to complete depending on the situation and conditions. So every morning, our fire chief, BC Wildfire, BC Hydro, Fortis Gas, Argo all met and took a look at the site because we had down power lines, we had a variety of hazards, everything from potentially rupturing gas lines to homes being impacted. Fortunately and very luckily, there was no structural damage, injuries, or loss of life reported. One homeowner reported some fire retardant on the exterior of his home, and this will be addressed by BC Wildfire. And power was out to some homes for a few days while BC Hydro crews repaired their infrastructure. 28 evacuees registered at the Chetwynd Emergency Support Services Center here in the district office. The fire ended up being 76 hectares in size and was in the Peace River Regional District jurisdiction. The Chetwynd Volunteer Fire Department served as support as the fire was outside of their service boundary and did not involve structures. We're not sure really how the NIFAC base removal impacted this fire. We know that we've heard that the crews that were on Mount Orkney, which is of course directly adjacent to us, were the first responders. And we've heard anecdotally that the road crew that came from Fort St. John was about an hour and a half to get here. So there's obviously a bit of a time delay. I have requested the BC Wildfire provide response time data to us so that we can analyze it. BC Wildfire had 2 water bombers, helicopters, and crews, and we appreciate all the efforts of these professionals on our behalf. We had the Ministry of Transportation, RCMP, Argo Road Maintenance, BC Wildfire, Chetwynd Volunteer Fire Department, Search and Rescue, Regional District, BC Hydro, Northern Health, Chetwynd ESS, and Fortis BC all working together very closely during the period of the fire. There were a few negative interactions with people during the event, but almost all of these were motorists and frustrated with the road delay. There were a couple of incidents that were dramatic enough that the RCMP were called in to help through the process. And staff met and communicated with Northern Health during the wildfire event, and I was really super impressed with Becky Borton's evacuation protocol. She had it dialed in. There were buses, ambulances ready for those that could be transported by ambulance. They had everybody identified as to who was going where. They kept abreast. They kept communicating with us. We kept communicating with them. It was very heartening that these vulnerable people in our community were that well looked after. It was really, really good exercise. And of course, we're still in a epic stage 5 drought. and a very serious start to our wildfire season. Basically, the fire chief, wildfire, and I thought we were going to lose homes, but the wind died, shifted direction. We got a little bit of precipitation, and it saved us. And it was coming over the ridge, fairly quickly. One thing not on the report is the chief and I attended a community evacuation workshop hosted by the McLeod Lake Indian Band last week on Tuesday. And it was very worthwhile. We not only a really good networking, but it was, practicing and picking each other's minds on how best to evacuate in emergency situations, large numbers of people. So extremely worthwhile. So we're doing everything we can to be prepared and ready for future events. Thank you.
Just a correction, CAO. You mentioned Fort St. John. I believe you meant to say Dawson Creek with 1.5 hours drive time.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. It was Dawson Creek. Yes.
Any questions? Yeah.
I have another correction. It wasn't Highway 29, it was 97.
Yeah, when they hear it on the,
Yeah.
they'll question it anyway.
Yeah,
so-
Highway 97, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make a lot of excuses, but I'm an old guy, worked 32 hours out of 38, and I wrote this report in about 37 hours, so I was getting numbers were not my friend by that point in time. So my apologies, I'll do better next time.
It's okay.
Councillor Dick?
You kept us informed quite a bit
Yep.
with through emails and everything, Steve. And then if I'm not mistaken, one of the emails said there's information that you couldn't divulge at some point. And
This is another thing it's counterintuitive in a sense. We were fairly confident that we were going to open highways and lift the evacuation order at 11 o'clock. We were fairly confident at 9. But if we share that information that we're going to reopen at 11, past history throughout Canada with wildfire says everybody rushes to go home at about 9:15. So it's what we can actually share is very carefully regulated. One of the things that I feel like I could do better is when I didn't have new details to share, I didn't share anything. And I think no news is better than no news. So if I had posted, we still don't have any new details, we're still on top of it. Thank you for your patience. We'll let you know as soon as we can. It would have been better. But we were juggling a lot of balls and I thought that since I was saying, I'll let you know when there's more information, that would suffice. But it didn't. There was a shortfall in our communication strategy. And it's one that we've already discussed as changing on the next one.
but the information shared was great. Whatever we got was good. I was just curious about what we could share. Thank you.
No worries at all. Thank you.
I feel like we can allow a little bit of grace for the fact that you only slept for 2 hours. But all I have to say, this very extensive report, it's excellent, and thank you for that information. And I think that we just need to constantly recognize staff for the work that's done with the ESS and getting people, evacuees. I know it's a very difficult job and emotions are running so high. And then all our team running without sleep, but yet still taking care of the community members. I think it should be applauded.
Thank you very much, Counselor. And again, our staff just do an epic job. It's heroic. Like we do the same number of people that are ESS that other communities do with like 4 or 5 times the size of team. They just no complaints, nothing. They just come in, they work really, really hard on behalf of the community. Kind, empathetic, and very helpful. It's truly an honor for me to be a part of.
Thanks for that report, Steve. Just before I ask my questions, so we had a sign-up sheet for ESS membership at the trade show. Were we successful, and do we have enough help there?
We didn't get any signups, but I have had a few people reach out wanting to help. Everybody's, if you know anybody, send them my way. We're always looking for volunteers.
Okay. So you could use more than. Thank you. So I've brought this up, but I again just want to say, our local information that was provided was wonderful. The problem lies with BC Wildfire app. Even that night after everybody was evacuated, it still said there were no evacuations. So for somebody who had a home in the area but were out of town, I don't know where they would turn for updated information. It could be a really scary thing for them, not knowing if their home's still standing. And then not only the BC Wildfire app, but the BC Emergency Alert that it did go off right around the time of the emergency, but again at 1:30 in the morning, which they could do better. I'm not sure how to go about addressing that, who we would speak with, but it definitely needs to be addressed.
100% agree. I actually had the same concerns and I spoke with BC Wildfire about it. I said, we have like 5 or 6 active fires in the province. You folks are updating the app every 24 hours. Like that's not really in my book acceptable, especially given the low volume of fires. If they had hundreds of fires like last year, you could forgive them a little bit more for it. But I think they do forget that people are eagerly and really worried, waiting for information about their homes. Absolutely. The emergency notification one I have no explanation for. That's one of the reasons we purchased V-City, is so that we can send an emergency app the second we have an emergency.
Any other questions for administrator, CAO, firefighter? Everything last week or week before? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks, staff, for that. It was put well said by Councillor Nelson. So, with that, adoption of the reports, or accept the reports as is.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Carry. Discussion item. Email from the Pine Valley Exhibition Park Society dated April 23rd, 2024, a request for a letter of support and financial contributions for the PVEP revitalization project.
I should probably step out.
You as part of the society?
I'm part of the board.
Yes. Okay.
I'll make that recommendation that council provide a letter of support to the Pine Valley Exhibition Park Society for each grant application to upgrade and renovate the PVEP outdoor arena rodeo grounds for the revitalization project, and that council provide a financial contribution of $100,000 towards the PVEP revitalization project.
I'll second.
Discussion on it? Councilor Moore?
Is there, I know they're looking into grants, but is there a grant that we're aware of that we could, if we did agree to provide that $100,000, would that be coming from a grant?
Go ahead, Councilor. Go ahead, staff.
I would, I want to be able to see their application for MVIT. Just to see what their contribution spread was, because we don't want to reduce that, but they absolutely, just a couple ones that came right to mind was a new one that we actually sent to the Chance of Carving Society for a large amount of money. And I want to look to see on that timeline. So there's absolutely where we can try and see where we can disperse other grants and possible maybe in-kind support. But I need to see the application.
Excellent, thank you.
Councilor Nelson?
So it's a pretty big spend, and I don't believe that we have budgeted for it, and it looks like they need to get going right away on the project construction. my question really is probably for Kevin and finances. Where are we gonna find this 100,000?
Well, it would have to come from a reserve of one type or another. I would like to be able to, say I would bring you a report back to the next meeting on your different options. There's a couple of our reserves I want to check and see whether or not they qualify for this kind of thing or not. So want to provide you some options rather than just get pigeonholed into it right now.
Yeah, not to put you under pressure, but off the top of your head, do you feel like we can afford to spend this money?
Well, as I've said with to various members of staff and before, all of these kind of things, there's just, it's an action and a consequence. We spend this 100,000 now, that's 100,000 we don't have for something else later. Doesn't mean we have the money targeted for that right now, but whatever it is, you know, it's money we've got. We do have some funds available, but they're, they're limited in nature. So if we spend it on this, then we're not gonna have it for something else, whatever that else happens to be, whether it's a new fire hall or whatever.
Good. Well, thank you, Kevin. And I have another question. It's in regards to the property and the facility because we own it. Would we not be taking on a project like this as the district of Chetwynd? Or I just would like some clarity because it seems to me that maybe it's something we should already be doing.
Well, we do and have done renovations in the past, but it's been based basically on request. So we've done the heaters, we've done some lighting work, we did the commercial kitchen. Anything else, Kevin, pops in your mind?
The roof that he mentioned earlier,
Yeah,
I'm not sure what our agreement with PVP Society says as far as whose jurisdiction these different things are. I'd have to see that agreement, so.
they are basically, like Dr. Bergen spoke to, they kind of manage themselves in a lot of ways for a lot of different things. And they try to be really independent of the council and not impose more of a cost than they have. So they do tend to look after themselves fairly well. And this is an indicator they have a need. And their first steps were to see how much funding they could raise to meet that need. It's a pretty good gesture.
Good, Councilor Smith.
If we don't approve this, can it come back around to council after we have more information on grants and a presentation from Kevin?
Yes, we could defer the financial contribution part, for instance, until the next meeting. We could table it and we could just pass the portion for, if council chose to, about the letters of support for grant funding. It's up to council on how to proceed.
Um, as Dr. Bergen said, he needs to have the ducks in a row by June 30th. So if they are looking into grants and have already applied for grants, it wouldn't be too bad to hold off, as long as I would hate to see them lose out on $160,000 towards this project. Just from like a time constraint from us.
You said the outdoor arena is over 40 years old, and it is. It's showing its age. I think it's part of our responsibility to keep every amenity we have running, no matter what the cost is. Well, or not, no matter what the cost is, but within reach. And you don't hear this from me very often.
Could you say that again?
No.
Okay, Ellen? Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, your worship. So we do have a agreement in place with them and it is a shared project, but we do own the facilities outside again. And I think that's why NDIT is coming back to us because it is our facility. It's just like what you experienced with the Rotary outdoor walking track. They wanted us to take the lead on the application. So in this case, they want us to partner with the program. But I think we do have chance to be able to bring this back in time to be able to make sure you have a good opportunity to decide what you wanted to do. But they also have the chance to be able to reapply. It'd be interesting, and I'd like to reach out to NDIT to see what their end timeline would be on a project, because maybe they could skirt into some of the planning or project falling into 2025. So I think we need to just do a little bit of research on what they.
Yeah, with that said, there's going to be a shortfall if we do participate in the funds of $80,000, right? So there's still $80,000 that's outstanding that they need to be able to reach their $340,000, right? So are we in a position of waiting for them to get a grant? Because June 30th, that's to get a grant. You know more about it than me. How long does it take to get a grant, right? And if we could work with the society, if we, as a council, decide that, oh yeah, we could do the 100,000, but you know, if you get over this 340 with grants, including ours, I mean, we have other things that we do with our money, and I see them all over town now, sidewalks. So that we add to that, and then we add to the maintenance of that. So Kevin's right, when we were taken away from something else right away as soon as we add to this. So I'm saying if we could cut a cost, and they have grants that are applicable to that 340,000, and having us, you know, helping out. Is there ways that with our agreement, because it's both between the society and the district, that we take our 100, or maybe it's 80,000, we take our 20,000 and put it back into our community elsewhere? That's kind of a thought, right? It's not a ask until we decide on this motion or this proposal. So anyway, and did you have something? I've got one more thing on this rodeo grounds.
Wait.
You want to? Okay. The history about the rodeo grounds and every rodeo that's been happening since the 1970s, 80s, and 90s was horses that were being injured in these races. So we're talking about the safety has been improved, but we still have that factor in the process right now with human rights and animal rights and all these. So these are one of the things that took some of our rodeos in the area down because of the animal rights that was happening in those at those times. So that's why our arena and many arenas in Alberta and small communities and that have moved on because they couldn't have the insurance, they couldn't have the people wanting to bring them where there are going to be protests. So bigger events like Cloverdale and Calgary, they all managed to, because they were bigger events. This is some of the reasoning behind not maintaining this rodeo ground, because it was a great rodeo when I was a kid. We were one of the people in the rotation, one of the communities in the rotation. It was a great event to be at. The whole community was there. There was nobody downtown. They were all at the rodeo grounds or coming to get water at the IGA, to making sure that everybody had the water at the ground. So it was quite important. But that was one of the factors. Now I see it that the safety is getting better, and we've got a veterinarian who is participating, which is great. So that's some of the reasoning behind why we didn't have this opportunity to continue to maintain our rodeo grounds. But it sounds like it's a good to have this kind of venue back in operations if we can help. Councillor Nelson?
Yeah, I just have to say that the Chetwynd Rodeo really does seem quite vibrant, even with their only using their indoor facility. I've been volunteering there the last couple weekends, so I've seen it firsthand, and I feel in support of this project. But our next meeting is May 21st, a couple weeks down the road, and I would really like to see where our financial director, which reserve that he's going to recommend that we pull the funds from, because it is a large sum of money. I'd like to see that and just wait on approving the 100,000 at this moment.
Correct us if we're wrong. Do we need to amend? Because I think Councillor Deck mentioned the whole thing that council provide the financial contributions of 100,000. So do we need to?
Yes, Councillor, that could amend his motion, correct?
Okay.
And then, and table the 100,000
Defer.
until the May 21st meeting or worse
I'd
to
like to do
the.
that.
And second.
Second.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, any other discussion on that excluding the 100,000? We're good? Councillor?
So we're tabling the
Uh,
donation part?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll send out letters immediately, right? Okay. Okay, on the motion. All in favor? Carried. Okay. So Kevin's got some orders.
Councillor, just have to step up for a minute.
Okay, email from Think Act Counseling, date April 25th, 2024. Letter of support for the South Peace Primary Care Network Service Plan. And should we just read the letter and has everybody read the letter? Okay. Councillor what?
So in order to discuss anything about this item, must the recommendation be made prior? Because I'm a little confused about what they're asking for here, or who they are, or where this came from.
Well, normally we would make the motion that council send a letter of support for the PCN as stated there. Moved and seconded, and then there would be the discussion, and at that time, that's when you get the clarifying details and you can say yes or no, basically. Does that work?
Yep.
Is it?
And I believe there's one where we could, for information or for discussion. Am I correct? Because we use it at the PRRD frequently for discussion. And then we could bring it back to the floor for a motion or whichever works for staff, because it's going to be staff that's.
I believe I can make a motion to the council receive this for discussion.
Yes.
Second.
I can second.
Okay. That's the work.
So just reading this, okay, so who is the PCN? It looks like it's is it the Elgin Clinic in Dawson Creek? He's,
Would you like me to read the letter?
Yes, let's, Councillor Nelson will read the letter.
So it's an email from Kyle Pierce at Think Act directed to Alan Coutre. Hi, Mayor Couture. Thank you for your patience in doing a proper presentation to Chetwynd District Council. As you know, there's a lot going on with regard to the Elgin Clinic, and we thought it best to hold off. Having said that, we would love for the ministry to receive a letter of support for the PCN plan from Chetwynd. I have put together a draft letter of support for the PCN service plan. Are you able to amend and send to the ministry from your perspective as mayor, as a participant on the committee? Feel free to make any changes to this, and please send it to the ministry contacts below while copying me and Charlie when you do. Ideally, we would like to get our letters in by the end of this week or early next week, and we've got a couple contacts at the government of BC, and I've enjoyed working with you, and I've especially enjoyed our conversations about inclusion being Treaty 8 people in collaboration with West Moberly and Soto. Thank you, and keep well, Kyle. And then we've got a draft letter. And I truly find it confusing as well. Maybe you know more.
Yes, it's a primary care network. So primary meaning just doctor and patient. And they're trying to get those things connected so that there isn't a disconnect between the doctor, the care that the patient gets, and the pharmacist and all the nurses. So it's just dealing with primary care itself.
Sorry, I excuse myself again.
Okay, so it speaks about the Elgin Clinic. I don't know who Kyle Pierce is a principal of this Think Act Consulting. Is he referring to primary care network plan in Dawson Creek? Is this the Elgin Clinic like I previously asked?
No, it was between three communities, Chetwynd, Tumbler Ridge, and Dawson Creek.
Okay, so what would the letter of support be supporting?
It would be supporting the PCN. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it's like,
I just Googled what PCN.
Yep.
Can I just read this?
Yep.
This will,
Yep,
I
go
think,
ahead.
clear up because that makes way more sense.
Yep.
Primary care networks is a clinical network of local primary care service providers situated in a specific geographical area. The foundation of PCNs is patient medical homes, which serve as the central point of patient care. PCNs are enabled through partnerships between local divisions of family practice, regional health authorities, local First Nations, and other community partners. Within a PCN, various healthcare professionals collaborate to provide all the primary care services needed by the local population. The focus on the following core attributes: access and attachment to quality primary care, extended hours for patient convenience, same-day access to urgent care, comprehensive primary care, culturally safe care, coordinated care, clear communications, how to get involved. So there is different ones in different parts of the province, it looks like. So it sounds like they're trying to start a local division of family piece, like a PCN network up here. Okay.
yep. Good, then Councillor's protection.
Mr. Mayor, have you read the PCN service plan? Or have you seen the plan for Chetwynd specifically?
They were in the process of building it, and then when they put this out, they presented to the Peace River Regional District, and then how it got sideways was the Elgin Clinic was being, I believe, in the process of losing their doctors, and they were in the possibilities of shutting down. So the PCN decided that they should be involved in taking over, or the society would take over the Elgin Clinic because they needed space for doctors to have their clinics. And if it was a shutdown, I believe they were talking about 3 to 4 doctors wouldn't have space to practice. So it was space that was at risk here. So this wasn't in the original plan for the PCN for the region. So we were all doing what we're doing today, is trying to figure out where we sit in this, and this is why they didn't come to present.
I'd like to make a motion that council receive for information.
Second.
Okay. do we need to vote on it, or is it just information?
It's motions.
Okay, all those in favor? Go ahead. We got it, we want one more question, go ahead, Councillor Nelson.
I just would like some more information if this is going to be beneficial and non-conflictual with Northern Health and our current services. It seems like it could be very good, and maybe we should have a delegation.
Yes, and it shouldn't cost us anything. If they're going to buy or participate in a building, then it's going to have some cost to us, I believe. So that was the misunderstanding, or that's what we understood, that the Peace River Regional District.
What's the Elgin Clinic?
It's a primary clinic in Dawson.
Very close.
It's just a
care clinic.
It's just across from the hospital. It's just a medical clinic.
Is that what we got?
Like,
Just ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just named Elgin.
thank you.
So, okay, we've got a motion on the floor for information. Just one question, do we want, because Kyle is talking about it being this week or next week that they want to be able to send a letter. So our next meeting is the 21st, so that's 2 weeks away. So we're in a position of not knowing either that our support isn't going to be there until the 21st, right? To when we make a decision, when we get back more information. So any ideas, staff, before we make just for information, or?
Well, as I understand it, what they're offering is another way to kind of ease the backlog of the pressure on our medical system. So they're offering alternatives. So they have aging in place for seniors, culturally appropriate care for First Nations, and the whole idea is it takes some of the pressure off. PCNs have a history of being fairly effective in other parts of the province. They don't ask for any kind of financial aid. So this letter of support would just be a letter of support in principle for the idea of another strategy to help our struggling medical system. His worship is absolutely right. If council decides to not offer the letter of support this time, it sounds like it won't make their timeline. Which may or may not be a bad thing. I don't know, really. But if, as I read the letter, like they're delivering after hours primary care for patients unable to have regular appointments during work days. The nurse Debbie outreach program, which will help the number of seniors aging in place. This eases the pressure on long-term care and assisted living beds, reaching out to youth and seniors, including a creative recruitment program in the local strategy, which should address both the risk of burnout among our physicians and improve the sustainability of our primary care system, and a development of a structured way to ensure that the PCN and the FNPCI will support one another, offer seamless services, and collectively improve care for all Treaty 8 people. So the letter of support is all, fairly basic stuff that just supports healthcare providers in providing a different type of healthcare, as I read it, if that helps.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Dick.
With the different type of care. I'm just, somebody should just go on.
It is a little murky. Basically, it sounds like some virtual care and some visiting care. So there would be, like the aging in place, there would be this outreach nurse, Debbie would be a nurse that would come into a senior's home and help them with their healthcare needs, maybe refer them to a specialist or to a general practitioner, as the case may be. But it would be somebody that would come to their door. And it sounds like they're offering a lot of they have a really strong focus on culturally sensitive for Treaty 8 people. So there'd be, they don't get into the details of how it's provided, but they have a focus on that, and that's one of the things they're looking at. So it sounds like the idea is, again, just to take pressure off of our system.
I still feel like we need more information. However, I would hate to not support something that states that it's going to significantly improve the lives of many in Chetwynd. I would suggest that we request more support from Kyle and potentially do an online poll.
The only problem with that is pure logistics, because we're going to be in Smithers next week, the majority of us, for the conference. If they want it early next week or the end of the week, then we could still do it. I could write a letter of support and send it off on my laptop at the hotel if council wants to do that. I'm fine with that. And I can email Mr. Pierce tomorrow and ask for some information on how this works and what exactly this is going, like what the nuts and bolts are. There's no information that I find anywhere that says how they do any of it. It's just what the goals are for the functionality. So it's however you want to do it. If you're more comfortable with that, we can absolutely do it. We could do an email poll. I could write a letter of support. We could ratify it after the fact on the May 21st regular council meeting.
It just seems to me like everybody is seeking some more information, but should we get what we need, I think it's definitely worth a vote and worth looking at.
Councilor McDonald?
Sorry, I'm very tired and not feeling so great. So, I myself would be comfortable making the motion to provide the letter of support, because I do agree with staff that there's really not that much information in it that doesn't commit us to anything. We are in support of reducing the demand on our healthcare system. There's nothing incorrect in this letter. And I would too also agree that we need more information about it. I would love to see the service plan. I would absolutely love to read how it would benefit Chetwynd. I don't want to not send the letter to the Ministry of Health for their funding. After the fact, if we get it back and we're like, wow, dang, that could have been really beneficial for our community.
This would be the other alternative is I could draft out the letter pretty much exactly as it's written on our letterhead, and as it doesn't commit us to anything other than supporting the idea of easing the pressure on our health system. And then ask, when I send the letter, ask for additional information, how it works, and just say that if they're looking for more, concrete support down the road, we would need to understand more of what the program is, if that made sense to council.
Just that we don't know who we are supporting. Yes, he says all the right things in the letter, but who is thinkact.ca?
He's a contractor? Yeah, he's a contractor. Yeah, that's what he is. And he was a chair. He chaired the meetings of the PCN here. But yeah, here in Chetwynd and in Dawson Creek. And he did it by Zoom because he's from the south. But he did come here one time, and he did that. And Councillor McDonald asked, did I read it? I went through it, but it's a document that was sent to the government because it's government funded, the PCN in all the other communities. So we weren't allowed to be able to tell you this is there until the government said, yes, you are going to be a primary care network. So that's the reason why some of this stuff hasn't come to us yet, because they were drafting this, and then the Elgin Clinic came available. So there was stuff like that, but yet the primary care support letter that they're asking is from Chetwynd, because there's three of us, Tumbler Ridge, Dawson, and ourselves, involved in the primary care network that is we're applying for it. So the Elgin Clinic, if it wasn't there, they would have came and presented. We'd have got all the information that we needed. But as right now, the change was to add the Elgin Clinic so that we don't lose space in Dawson Creek. So that's where we sit. But the program itself is going to assist doctors and nurses, pharmacists, all those that take care of us, that to help the doctors especially, that they don't burn out, so that we be able to, some of the process. I'm not too sure if I'm allowed to talk about it, because if it's not sent to the government hasn't stamped it and telling us, why are we talking about something that is not official? So that's where I sit today, and we could talk about this Elgin Clinic, and we've had meetings, and it's a benefit to the patients that are going to, and what they put down here is what we were allowed to talk about. But until it gets passed and the government says that we're going to be an entity of a primary care network in Chetwynd, just like the others in the province, because the province does fund it all. Yeah, go ahead, Councillor.
We've got our local First Nations are putting in a significant amount of money for a primary care clinic.
Yep.
Are they affiliated with these people at all, or with the FNC or PNC or?
Yes, it says here, I was also pleased that the planning process included engagement with the First Nations primary care initiative being developed in Chetwynd. I'm especially pleased at the openness to collaboration, co-location, and alignment between the two initiatives.
No,
So-
are these guys?
Yeah, these guys work with the stuff, with our partner.
West.
Yeah, exactly. They've partnered well with them. Would it be fair to say, Your Worship, that it's basically a group of healthcare professionals that pool their resources to kind of ease the pressure on everybody?
Yes. Yep. And First Nation, yes, and First Nations were at all the presentations. So they had a representative. So there we are. I think we, if we don't support, and as my opening was, Northern Health, to get some of the doctors so that they're not working and being stressed to the limits. I believe this is going to assist that, just that one piece along with the doctors would help us all.
If we could assist just one doctor in one moment and affected one life, it would be a great thing. I'm just going to go back to the fact to state that I need more information to vote on this. And I realize that we do have busy weeks coming up with conference and travel, but can we please, Steve, request some more information so we can make an educated decision on the direction and support?
So what specific information are we going to ask, Steve? Do you have an idea?
Well, yeah, I'll just ask him to provide more information on how it works. You know, basically what it consists of. That council is a little unsure of who the proponents are and how, you know, it's good they're easing the pressure, but how does that actually work? Is that what you're asking for?
I think that would be very helpful. Thank you.
And then I could also say, you know, I understand the timing is really critical. Council has agreed to an email poll. If you could provide your response to me today, I'll send it this evening, after council. And so hopefully I'll get it tomorrow. And then as soon as I get it, I'll send it around to council. We could vote on the motion then. I'll send a draft motion with it. Good.
Thank you.
Council, is that good? Okay. Yes. Yep. So we got a motion on floor for information? Yep. All those in favor? Okay, carried. So, staff, do you need any direction from us from a motion, or you're just going to, put one to us
Yes.
tomorrow when you get more information?
Email to Mr. Pierce after council tonight and to say, council supports the idea of the initiative, but we need more information. We'll do an email poll as soon as we receive it. And then I'll have the letter ready to go tomorrow. We can send it to him as soon as, if it's approved by council.
And we had them at a delegation, I believe, last month, right? And they didn't, because this opportunity with the clinic in Dawson Creek. That's why they didn't attend, because they were in that predicament. Okay. All right, more information. Correspondence.
Motion to receive C1 and C2.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Information items. I-1 to I-18, anything to lift?
I'd like to have a conversation about C2.
Okay,
That's not correct. My apologies, I3.
okay. Any others? Okay, let's have a motion to, okay. Need a motion to accept, what is it,
Motion to
I-1,
accept
I-2?
I-1, 2, and 4 to 18.
Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Councillor Nelson?
So it's an interesting letter from Soyuz requesting that us as UBCM members support their resolution. And they're speaking a fair bit about personal defamation in regards to sitting at the table as mayor and council. And I just wanted a little bit more information if you knew anything about this, Steve, or what's the background, what's been going on in a Soyuz, and what, I don't know if you have more information for us.
Okay, well, the abbreviated version, if that's possible for me, is the Soyuz Council decided to not do tax increases for a period of years. And that ended up, they levied, I believe it was right on 40% this year.
44, believe it.
Yeah,
was the-
44 rings a bell. So they levied a 44% tax increase this year because their spending far outpaced what they were getting back in taxes. When they levied that tax, they made a lot of their residents very unhappy. And so there were actually death threats. They had RCMP protecting councilors and mayors at homes and during meetings. And it became really, really, really contentious. This is all public record. It's all in the news. It got to the point that residents were coming to the council and saying some pretty vile and horrible things to mayor, council, and staff while they were trying to hold the meetings. So what they're doing is they're actually trying to enact a bylaw for themselves that says, if you can't behave in council, we'll ask you to leave, basically. And then they're doing a UBCM motion that asks other municipalities and local governments to support them and doing kind of a province-wide regulation that says there's a code of conduct for residents to come to council. There's been a say word on Vancouver Island, Harrison Hot Springs, Soyuz, there's been some really unhappy communities and some issues with council relationships between the relationship with them and residents. So there's been a lot of newspaper articles this year about that. So this is basically an answer to that, about asking that there be an expected code of conduct for our residents when they are dealing with staff and with elected officials.
And does that mean should legislative changes occur that we could see like RCMP arresting people in the gallery? Is that the directive?
Well, that's an option now, if there was a threat of violence or an illegal activity. I think what the focus of this motion would be more likely fines than arresting. But I think if somebody came in and threw a brick at one of you, then we would expect RCMP to charge them with assault. And that's kind of, there's always the criminal code. And it says, you know, if you do this, we're going to fine you. If you do that, we're going to arrest you. But I don't see anybody getting arrested for disagreeing. I haven't read that anywhere. Or even for being really passionate about disagreeing. But there would be some, you know, some reminders, not unlike if you're following the Federal House of Commons with you know, the leader of opposition getting removed from the House of Commons for calling the Prime Minister a wacko. That's not an acceptable thing to say in the House of Commons. So it's the same level of expectation. You can come in, you can disagree, you can argue your point, but you can't call names. Is kind of the point of the service. You can't swear and call names.
Thanks for the information.
See, any more discussion on it? Okay,
Motion to receive I3.
all those in favor? Carried. Reports for action. Statement of financial information.
I'll make a recommendation that the Council of the District of Chetwynd approves all statements and schedules included in the Statement of Financial Information produced under the Financial Information Act.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. RA2. Zoning Amendment Bylaw 4300 46th Drive Northeast.
I'll make a recommendation that zoning amendment bylaw number 1174 2024 4300 46th Drive Northeast be introduced and given first and second readings, and that a public hearing be scheduled to obtain public input on zoning amendment bylaw number 1174 2024 on May 21st, 2024 at 4 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion on it? Councilor Ward and Councilor McGinn.
Well, a couple questions. So this report, as well as the next one, is it a coincidence that they both came up, you know, for they're both closed camps? How is it that they both came up at the same time is one of my questions. And I mean, are they being used? Is this something that we need?
Okay, they came up at the same time because what's happened in the past is council has awarded temporary use permits for this use. And then we've renewed them, and now we're at the end of the number of times we can legally renew them. Yes, we do need them regularly. There's a large turnaround at Pine River Gas Plant this year, and we're expecting like 150, 300 employees for that, and that will take the pressure off of the hotels. During the fires last year, they offered to reopen and house evacuees. during the pipeline and the major industry, they're full. They're designed to take the pressure off the housing. They're affordable housing for temporary people. Uh, Rather than to continue to bother council regularly with, allow them to do it for another 2 years, we're looking at just allowing these two camps to operate in town, as part of this bylaw change.
Excellent, thank you. I did not have that information. Good to know. So, then that would make them permanent, both camps permanent?
That would make the use of that land for camps, those particular areas, permanent.
Right.
Unless council decided to do another amendment and remove that.
Thank you.
I have two questions. One being, have we encountered any issues having these camps located in the industrial grounds or any challenges that we are aware of?
Anytime you have transient workers, I mean, we said on a board, we saw it in the Human Rights Commission report, there's always an uptick in some assaults and some levels of crime. Is it any worse than if we house them just outside of town on Crown land? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, some of the worst issues we had during the last pipeline project that came through weren't from the camps in town, they were from the camp out of town. So there's always an impact to the community. When you bring in an influx in the economy, there's always an influx of people that want that money. So there's more, there's more alcohol use, there's more illicit drug use, there's increased certain kinds of crime, but most people just come and want a place to stay and lay their head down, right? And when we add to the fact that it looks like we're going to have another year of evacuees, having that resource where we can access it, I think really benefits the community. And I think that the issues that have been in the past have been, I mean, everybody in here lives here. Have we heard of any real horror stories coming from camp? I haven't.
Thank you. I have one more question. Is there a significant tax rate between the two zonings?
I'm gonna give my voice a rest and shift it on over to Kevin.
The significant tax rate between which two zonings or?
What it's currently listed at light industrial and then commercial, commercial.
Yeah, okay. The BC Assessment Authority classifies things based on how they're being used, not on how our zoning bylaw is. The camps themselves are assessed under residential, which I've had arguments with BC Assessment Authority on and lost. Not just me, a few others around the province as well. Because hotels are assessed as class 6, as a business class, which is in Chetwynd's case, a little over double. But if council went ahead with these and these two properties had permanent camps on them, the BC Assessment Authority would assess them as residential properties and we would get taxes accordingly.
Thank you.
Good question, Councilor McDonald. I think I agree with our CAO, everything about amending the zoning to work with ensuring we have extra accommodation, because when we need it, we really need it. The only, I was a hotelier in a previous life, and as a hotelier, I would drive around and count which companies were staying at which properties, because I always wanted my property to be full. And all I can say is I couldn't really see anybody else being offended over us creating this zone change, except for maybe the hoteliers. And I guess all I can say is I urge them, if they're out there, to come to our meeting on the 21st and voice their opinion. Because I think occupancy really does matter. We've got permanent businesses paying double tax rates. Of course, we want to support those businesses, but we also want to support everybody.
I agree with Councilor Nelson. I think we have to ensure that our hotels are properly fed, better words. But when there is big when there is no vacancy, there is no vacancy. Don't know about the long-term impacts of this.
Okay, go ahead, Seth.
This is addressed by being a closed camp. This is something that Ellen and I have had long discussions about because we share the concern. People can't just check into it like a hotel. It's planned. Companies will send X number of employees, and usually they're like 50 or 100. Usually they would overwhelm our hotels. And then say if it's during, chainsaw carving or tourist season, now we have no space for our other visitors. And I have not heard any issues with the camps or in use from any of the hotels because they were all running pretty close to maximum occupancy at the time. Even when we're bringing in the contractors for the turnaround, some companies will opt, if they have one or two people, to just stay at the hotels, for instance. It hasn't been an issue in the past. Ellen's done a really super good job of communicating with the hotel managers in town. And we haven't heard any real concern with it at this point.
No, the proponents for both of the properties that were leasing for the camps provided the actual occupancy to me every month as part of our team. So we monitored through those and being closed, they have a process to go the channels first, and the businesses want to support them locally first anyway. And with the current planned outage coming up in October for September for the turnaround, we're already putting all the data together to plan. And the first thing that they ask for is RVs, camps, restaurants, that thing. And then the construction part, but the contracting specific for those camps, it's just a set for overflow. And both of the businesses are running that way and plan to, is what they said.
Because if I remember correctly, when they first initially put the camps in, there was concerns from hotels, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
And I believe, the past council that one or two of the camp, maybe one wanted to increase the number, and council had the same reasoning. We need to be able to fill our hotels rather than increase our camp. So we did address that in that fashion.
And the camp owners understand this and they're savvy business people. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to get a lot of negative public feedback. So they tend to have really strict rules, and they tend to really be aware of hotel occupancy, like Ellen speaks to.
Okay. All those in favor? Okay. Three. Zoning amendment bylaw number 4414, 44th Avenue Northeast.
I'll make a recommendation that zoning amendment bylaw number 1175, 2024, 4414, 44th Avenue Northeast be introduced and given first and second readings, and that a public hearing be scheduled to obtain public input on zoning amendment bylaw number 1175, 2024 on May 21st, 2024 at 4 p.m.
Second.
Discussion. Any, all those in favor? Carried. Number 4, new business.
Just have one question. Any word on that new apartment building that's going?
I've actually just sent out a couple emails in regards to that on status. Also, just the information from municipality and the community within the government for options for early funding. So I'm waiting to hear back consistently on when that looks like. With the market the way that it is, though, financially, within the rate for construction, it is an issue. But I think if we could look at both sides, it might be interesting. I know that they haven't said that they're not proceeding. It's just that we're still waiting for the formal plans to come to be presented to council.
Thank you.
Okay, new business. Councilman Moore?
That's okay. I was just wondering if a motion was made in regards to the food cycler, which was presented at one of our April meetings. Was there a recommendation from council? Or I just can't remember.
No.
Yeah. No, but it was information.
No,
No, we were, council received the delegation report for information.
okay. So on that then, I have been looking into it. I think it looks fantastic. I think there are many, many benefits, and I would like to make a motion to look into the pilot program that they are offering.
Yeah.
Second. I'll second.
Discussion. Can I just ask a question? And when you say look into it, what do you envision them?
So the gentleman spoke about offering a pilot, they do a pilot program for municipalities. So depending on depending on the vote of council, then we would go ahead and the pilot program would include, depending on the size of our area, do so many composts to for sale at a reduced price to residents.
So I could ask the proponent to bring forward what it would cost us per unit and all that?
Yeah.
It was in the presentation.
Okay, so you'd like us just to proceed with, authorize them to proceed with the pilot program?
Yeah, I guess I would be making a motion to vote on that now.
Okay.
Yes,
perfect.
please.
If I may, your worship?
Yeah.
Could I suggest that, your motion just be to have staff bring back a report on it? Because there's a few considerations that were in that presentation that I think we should look at, so.
Sounds great. Thanks, Kevin.
It'll be in the 21st agenda, assuming the council votes in favor of it.
Thank you. Well, so we have to vote.
Good, Counselor?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
okay. Bring back information for the 21st. We have a motion on the floor, I believe. So staff defeat and bring it back, get some information. Okay, in favor? No.
Bringing in favor, bringing information back.
Nope, we're in favor. She made a motion to accept what the recycle to get those what do you call it, done, compost to us. But with the information that we've discussed, the staff is going to bring back information to us in a report. So we defeat this one, and then we'll give staff the opportunity to bring us back a report.
So I think I will rescind my motion then and just see.
I believe the chair has made a decision. So in this one, the chair believes that we're going to defeat the motion and continue. Okay, so those in favor? Those opposed? Yeah,
Oh,
opposed. Okay, let's give instructions to the staff to bring back a report on the information for the recycle compost. Okay. I don't believe we need a motion to that, or do you want a motion, Steve? Just a report, eh? Okay. Okay, thanks, Councillor Work.
thank you.
Okay, public questions. Media. Anybody? Okay, we're good. Okay, adjournment.
Second.
Carried.
Which is Red Dress Day, and it's the day to honor our missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirited people. Red Dress Day was started by Jamie Black. She was hanging red dresses in the trees of her community to represent those that we've lost and to bring awareness.
Is there anyone personally in the community here that we know that we've lost? And like, I guess through any of the like highways or anything like that, do you know?
Yes, quite a few, and some very close to our family here at Tansy Friendship Center.
Sorry to hear that. And so have you guys always usually been doing something for it since it began to be recognized?
Yes, we try to make some event in whatever form it looks like each year here at Tansy. In the past, we've done drumming on the front stairs. I think this was our first year for a long time doing the walk.
Why did you guys choose to do the walk?
This year we chose to do a walk because we were thinking of different ways to make awareness, have our voices heard, and actually Jeanette went to training and learned how to make that big banner that you saw. So we put all the stories, which are the words, on that banner, and we wanted to show the whole community.
Okay, and then tell me about the small little dolls.
Oh yes, the Faceless Doll Project. So that was actually started by the Native Women's Association of Canada in 2012. Now back in 2012, there was an estimated 600 girls, women and girls, missing across Canada. Unfortunately, we don't know the accurate number, but we're looking at over 4,000. So the dolls represent these women who've become faceless victims of crime, and no two dolls are the same, and each one is a story. It's a statistic.
And did the community sort of partake here to make their own doll?
We did. We sent some kits out to our schools in the community. We showcased them at 10 businesses across the town. We got close to 200, which was really amazing.